Good afternoon, everyone. It's Cindy from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, my contemplative time has been so focused on mind expansion. Can you imagine me focusing on expansion? And it's interesting that I have been focusing with my mind on the idea, but I have been experiencing through meditation. Now, some of you might have heard the term mind expansion or expansion. I find expansion is a term that's being used quite a bit in society right now. So sometimes people want to expand their business, or sometimes people want to expand their home living space. Sometimes people want to expand where they've traveled to. Sometimes people want to expand their self-awareness. And of course, that is the area that I work on. And this idea is so wonderful. It's such a beautiful space that when we decide to go within to understand ourselves, we expand our awareness. And that awareness or consciousness is all pervasive. So it's certainly something that we can learn about our experience, but somehow that also shapes how we perceive the world around us. And when we perceive the world around us with that expansive energy, there's so much more beauty, there's so much more love, there's so much more creativity. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I thought I'd start today with this quotation by Wendell Holmes. And he says, "The mind, once expanded to the dimensions of larger ideas, never returns to its original size. The mind, once expanded to the dimensions of larger ideas, never returns to its original size." And you might have noticed something like this in your own life. So maybe a person is just waiting all their life to get married. And then when they get married, then they want to expand with a family. And when they have a family, then they want to get a bigger home. And all of those things is expanding. And it's really not easy when people are in that empty nest syndrome, right? So when kids grow up and move out, then coming back suddenly feels smaller, right? And that's because all of those things are based on this ever expanding sort of energy. Yet, we never really, most people, don't take the time to expand within. When we expand within, no matter what's happening on the outside, everything seems expansive. And you can imagine the exact same situation where the family can still expand, right? The kids might be moved out and they're perhaps in college or university, or perhaps they're making new friends or relationships, and everything is expanding. But if a person is looking at only their own personal life experience, they might think, oh my goodness, my world is shrinking because everyone's out of the home, right? So that sort of idea. Same thing can happen with business. So when you start growing a business, you're looking for it to get a little bit bigger, and oh, you get to a certain space and it's like, it's so good. And then you start shrinking, right? But that's, again, in terms of material things. Everything grows and everything comes back to smaller or back to the basics, right? At the same time, if we are in parallel working on expanding within, we'll notice our experience is so much more expansive on the outside too. So then I thought I'd share the second quotation with you, which says, "When you expand your mind and shift the context of your life, you become so strong, stable, solid, and yet so soft." And this is so incredible, isn't it? This quotation is by Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar. And I'll read it one more time. It says, "When you expand your mind and shift the context of your life, you become so strong, stable, solid, and yet so soft." And this has certainly been my experience so far. I certainly understand and realize that, wow, I've expanded a lot in so many different ways externally, and I've expanded even more, I'm going to say, internally. And this shift has brought about a different level of softness, compassion, love, understanding, and true contentment that wasn't there when external things were expanding, which is so intriguing for me to reflect on today. So today I'd love for you to sit for 5 minutes and just think about, are you expanding on the outside or are you expanding from within? And when you're expanding from within, I'm not talking about gaining weight, weight gaining or gaining weight. Not that. I'm talking about true energetic expansion. And that true energetic expansion is really ourselves uniting with our higher selves. Our higher selves is our soul, as I call it. And our soul energy is infinitely expansive. And if we can align with that energy, we start experiencing what our soul is experiencing. And we are our soul, right? So this is the thing, is that even this idea of I'm not this mind, this not this body, because it's very limited when we look at just those two aspects. And yet, for most people, my mind is everything, the mind's everything. But no, our mind helps to create our experience, and our mind helps create our experience with another energy that's helping too. And this allows for expansion. And so today I thought for 5 minutes, if you can think about that, is there anything that you're expanding from within, understanding more? You'll know when you are, when there is more love, when there is more compassion, when there is more peace, when there is more ease and gentleness to you. And others will notice it around you too. And I hope you enjoy the experience and enjoy the experience that is reflected back at you too. So that's what I'd love for you to do for 5 minutes after this video. But I wanted to finish with one more quotation by James Pierce. And this quotation says, "The closer one comes to truth, the further one gets from mind." The closer one comes to truth, the further one gets from mind, which is so interesting, right? Because haven't we all become very dependent on our minds? What should I do next? What do I have to learn, study, remember, not forget, do in terms of responsibilities and tasks especially, and worries and concerns and those sorts of energies of the mind sort. And when we think without thinking is how it is in meditation, right? So when we're in meditation, and we can have a living meditation, which I will talk about through these videos too, but in this one, I can just plant the seed that in meditation, there's no thought, right? But there is a lot of truth that comes through meditation. And that's certainly been my experience. I hope that I will be able to direct you in a way that allows you to come closer to truth and maybe a little further from the mind. Mind, in this regard, remember, is more related to our ego tendencies. I leave you that to reflect on or to contemplate for the day, and certainly spend those 5 minutes to just figure out, are you expanding from within or only from outside in terms of this needs to be done, that needs to be done. And if you're expanding on the outside, it's wonderful. There's a time and place for that. But expand from within too. You can do both in parallel, and that's what I encourage. I wish you a fantastic day ahead, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.